What would you do if the person you trusted most shattered your world in front of everyone you knew? My name is Ethan Carter, and that's exactly what happened to me. At 25, I was the youngest lead developer at Carter Tech, my father's startup, a company I'd poured my heart into since I was a teenager. I wasn't just an employee, I was the kid who'd grown up sketching app interfaces on napkins at the dinner table, dreaming of building something that could change lives. But in one brutal moment, my dad-me hero tore it all apart. It was a crisp October morning in San Francisco, the kind where the fog clings to the bay and the air hums with possibility. Carter Tech's open-plan office buzzed with the usual chaos, coders hunched over laptops, whiteboards scribbled with algorithms, and the faint aroma of overbrewed coffee. We were 6 months away from launching our flagship app, a platform to connect underserved communities with free educational resources. My team had been grinding for weeks, and I was damn proud of what we'd built. I was presenting our latest prototype to the entire company, 50 pairs of eyes locked on me as I walked through the demo. The room was alive with nods and murmurs of approval. Then my dad, Richard Carter, CEO and founder, stood up. "Ethan," he said, his voice cold as steel, "this isn't good enough." The room went silent. I froze, my hand still on the projector remote. "Your team's work is sloppy, your leadership is weak, and frankly, you're holding us back." My stomach dropped. I tried to laugh it off, assuming it was one of his tough love moments. But his eyes, usually warm with pride, were hard. "You're fired," he said. "Pack your things. Now." The words hit like a sledgehammer. Fired? In front of everyone? My team, my friends, my colleagues, they all stared, some in shock, others avoiding my gaze. I felt the heat rise in my cheeks, my pulse pounding in my ears. "Dad," I whispered, but he turned away, addressing the room like I was already gone. "We'll find someone who can deliver." I stumbled out, my vision blurring, the weight of humiliation crushing me. The kid who'd coded his first app at 15, who'd given up college to build this company with his father, was now nothing. I spent the next week in a haze, crashing on my friend Mia's couch in Oakland. She was the only one who didn't pity me, just handed me a beer and said, "You're more than Carter Tech, Ethan. Figure out what's next." But what was next? My whole life had been that company. My dad's rejection wasn't just professional, it was personal. I replayed his words obsessively, each one a knife, sloppy, weak, holding us back. I stopped checking my emails, ignored calls from my old team, and let my phone battery die. The world felt gray, my dreams reduced to ash. Then came the twist I never saw coming. Mia, who'd been quietly tinkering with her own side project, burst into the apartment one evening, her eyes wild with excitement. "Ethan, check your email. Now." I groaned, but she shoved her laptop in my face. There it was, an email from Apple, addressed to me. Not Carter Tech, not my dad-me. They'd seen a side project I'd uploaded to GitHub months ago, a lightweight AI tool I'd built to optimize app accessibility for visually impaired users. It was a passion project, something I'd worked on late at night when Carter Tech's deadlines felt suffocating. Apple wanted me to present it at their upcoming developer conference in Cupertino. And not just present, they wanted me to demo it on stage. With Tim Cook. I laughed, thinking it was a scam. But Mia, ever the optimist, made me call the number in the email. Within minutes, I was speaking to an Apple engineer who knew my code inside out. They'd found my project through a random X post I'd made, buried in a thread about accessibility tech. My heart raced. This was real. For the first time in weeks, I felt a spark of hope. But doubt crept in. Could I face a stage after being humiliated? Could I trust myself to stand up and deliver? The next month was a blur of preparation. I moved out of Mia's place, rented a tiny studio, and threw myself into refining the AI tool. I barely slept, driven by a mix of determination and defiance. I wanted to prove my dad wrong, not just for him, but for me. Mia became my unofficial coach, grilling me on my presentation, forcing me to practice until my voice didn't shake. She even dragged me to a thrift store to buy a decent blazer, laughing as I tried on one that made me look like a 90s accountant. "You're gonna kill it," she said, her confidence infectious. The day of the conference arrived, and I stood backstage at the Steve Jobs Theater, my palms sweaty, my heart pounding. The auditorium was packed, thousands of developers, journalists, and tech giants watching. My demo was part of Apple's Accessibility Showcase, a segment Tim Cook himself would introduce. I peeked through the curtain, scanning the crowd, and my breath caught. There, in the third row, was my dad. He didn't know I'd be here, I hadn't told him. His face was unreadable, but seeing him brought back every second of that awful morning in his office. Tim Cook took the stage, his calm, commanding presence filling the room. He spoke about innovation, about technology that doesn't just advance but uplifts. Then he said my name. Ethan Carter, a young developer whose work is redefining accessibility. The crowd applauded, and I stepped into the spotlight, my legs trembling but my voice steady. I walked through my demo, showing how my AI adapted app interfaces in real time for visually impaired users. The audience leaned forward, engaged, some even taking notes. For 15 minutes, I wasn't the kid who'd been fired. I was Ethan, the guy who'd built something that mattered. When I finished, the applause was deafening. Tim Cook shook my hand, his smile genuine. "This is the kind of work that changes lives," he said, loud enough for the mic to catch. I glanced at my dad. His eyes were wide, his mouth slightly open. For the first time, I saw something like regret in his expression. Backstage, I was swarmed by developers, some offering business cards, others asking for collaboration. I was overwhelmed, but in the best way. Later, as I packed up, my dad approached. I braced myself, expecting a lecture. Instead, he looked at me not as a CEO, but as a father. "I was wrong," he said, his voice low. "I pushed you too hard, and I lost sight of what you were capable of." He paused, his eyes glistening. "I'm proud of you, Ethan." I wanted to stay angry, to make him feel the hurt he'd caused. But I was tired of carrying it. "Thanks, Dad," I said, my voice catching. "But I did this for me." Walking out of the theater, I felt lighter than I had in months. The world was still uncertain. Carter Tech was moving on without me, and I had no idea what came next. But I'd stood on that stage, under those lights, and proved I was more than my father's shadow. Mia was waiting outside, grinning. "Told you you'd kill it," she said. I laughed, the sound freer than it had been in ages. Sometimes, the people we love most can break us. But sometimes, in the wreckage, we find something stronger ourselves. I wasn't just Ethan Carter, the kid who got fired. I was Ethan Carter, the guy who got back up, who built something that mattered, and who walked off a stage knowing he was enough.